نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. We continue with Surah Thalatha, 2 o'clock p.m. Sunday, January 13, 2019, which agrees with now, which is Rabi' and Jumad al-Awwal, or Jumad al-Ula, the month on the Hijri calendar, which is Jumad al-Awwal, or the 6th of Jumad al-Awwal, 1440 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We're talking about the Qa'idah in the Surah Thalatha, talking about Surah Al-Fatiha, which says that Allah Ta'ala is my ma'bud, that He is my deity of worship. And I do not have a deity of worship other than Him. And the evidence is the statement of Allah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And then he goes on to say, the author, if you look in your books, he says, وَكُلُّ مَا سِوَى اللَّهِ عَالَمٌ وَأَنَا وَاحِدٌ مِّن ذَلِكَ الْعَالَمِ. He said that everything that's other than Allah is called alam, not alim, alam, which means something created. And I am one of the alam. I'm one of the creation. We were talking about the different meanings, or talking about the benefits that extract of why Surah Al-Fatiha is the greatest surah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it an obligation to read in every prayer and in every rak'ah. And that none of our prayers are valid except with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha. And we were elaborating and extracting the details in this regard of how important it is to realize what one is reciting and why it's considered the greatest surah, which by it a salah or a prayer becomes valid and acceptable with Allah. And if it's not recited, then it's considered incomplete and rejected. And we know the prayer is invalid if one does not recite Surah Al-Fatiha. As I said last week, we were discussing the different types of meanings of the word ta'wil. That's where we stopped at last class, right, everyone? You'll find that we said ta'wil, or the word ta'wil, can mean numerous meanings. From them, ta'wil can mean explanation or commentary. It can mean explanation or commentary. So that's one of the meanings of ta'wil. You'll find there's ayats in the book of Allah that substantiates this meaning or indicates towards this meaning. For example, the ayat which comes in Surah Yusuf, ayat number 100, Allah Ta'ala says, هَذَا رُؤْيَايَ هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. This is the explanation of my vision from before. So you'll find in Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Yusuf, the Prophet Yusuf, alayhi wa ala nabiyina afdal as-salatu wa tammat taslim, that he said that the meaning, or that the word ta'wil was used in this ayah for the meaning of explanation, where he says, هَذَا تَأْوِيلُ رُؤْيَايَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. This is the explanation of my vision from before. Also you'll find in the authentic sunnah, likewise, on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in sujood, he said this dua. He says, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, Allahumma ghafirli, yata'awwal al-Qur'an. He said, glory be to you, Allahumma wa bihamdik, and also may you be praised. He says, oh Allah, forgive me. That's not the point of reference. The point of reference, the evidence in this hadith, is when Aisha said, يَتَأَوَّلُ الْقُرْآنِ, meaning the Prophet ﷺ, يَتَأَوَّلُ الْقُرْآنِ, meaning the Messenger of Allah was explaining the Qur'an, because this particular dua was revealed when he was explaining the ayah which is in Surah An-Nasr, which is فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. Surah An-Nasr, the Prophet ﷺ made this dua. Aisha said that he was explaining the Quran. So she said the statement, that the Messenger of Allah, يَتَأَوَّلُ الْقُرْآن, that the Messenger of Allah is making ta'weel al-Quran, meaning he was explaining it. We also said that the meaning of ta'weel also means what? Means حقيقة الشيء وكنهه. The meaning of ta'weel also means the reality or the true nature of something and how it is. The reality or the true essence or the true nature of something or the true reality of something and how it is. We said that ta'weel here, if everyone would go back, and I think that I probably might need some of the sisters to look in the Mus'haf, look in the Quran, and look at Surah Ali Imran, ayah number 7. If you go back to the Mus'haf and you get it, go to Surah Ali Imran, the first page. The first page of Surah Ali Imran, as we discussed the different types of recitations. If you look in Surah Ali Imran in the Mus'haf, ayah number 7, you'll find that the ayah that it says in his book, هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات وهن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله والراسخون في العلم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He's the one that revealed to you the book from those ayat that are muhkamat. And they are the mother of the book, or when they say mother of the book, meaning that they're the head of where everything is returned back to, meaning the ayat that are muhkamat. And from those ayat in the book of Allah, Allah says about His book, from the ayat in the book of Allah that are muhkamat. We explained the meaning of muhkamat, and also mutashabihat. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as for those who have a sickness in their heart, then they follow what is mutashabih. In order, it says, ibtigha al-fitna wa ibtigha at-ta'wilihi. To seek fitna, to cause confusion, and to also seek its ta'wil. It's ta'wil. So that's the point of evidence. The point of evidence is here is what? Seeking his ta'wil. And no one knows the ta'wil except Allah. Stop right there. That's a recitation. That's one recitation of the ayah. So no one knows his ta'wil except Allah. And you stop on that recitation. So no one knows his ta'wil except Allah. When you stop right there, it means those affairs that are what? That no one knows the true nature of it, or the true essence of it, or the true reality of it, except Allah. What are they, everyone? For example, Allah's essence, Allah's characteristics, Allah's actions, Allah's names, His attributes. No one knows the true reality of those matters except Him, subhanahu. That's based upon the second meaning of ta'wil. Meaning the true reality, the true essence, the true reality of something, how it is. Nobody knows that except Allah. No human being knows that. And also likewise in paradise, nobody knows how the affairs of the hereafter will be, of how human beings will be recreated in a different manner of what we're upon now in this world. Or how the face of Allah is. All those affairs are what? All of those affairs are applicable to the second meaning of ta'wil. For example, like we said, how the reckoning on the day of resurrection will be, nobody knows the true reality of that. How paradise will be, nobody knows the true reality of that. Or the hellfire, or the bridge over hell, or the hawd of the Prophet ﷺ, meaning the well of the Messenger of Allah in the hereafter. All those matters, nobody knows its true reality except Allah. Nobody knows that except Allah. Also, we know that the meaning of ta'wil is the final outcome of something. The final outcome. Or the ultimate ending result of something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, ذَلِكَ خَيْرُ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. Allah says in Surah Al-Baqarah, that is the best and it is the best of outcomes. Or the best of a good outcome. What is it talking about? Meaning the ayah, if you know, it's Surah An-Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, O you who believe, obey Allah and His Messenger and those who are in authority over you. Meaning for the Muslim rulers, of course, and also the scholars. And if you differ in anything, then take it back to Allah and His Messenger. If you truly believe in Allah on the last day, that is the best. It says, ذَلِكَ خَيْرُ وَأَحْسَنُ تَأْوِيلًا. That is khair, that is the best, and it will bring the best of outcomes. It will bring the best of outcomes. So ta'wil can also mean عاقبة الشيء or عقبة الشيء, the final outcome of something, or the ultimate result. Then you have a fourth meaning of the word ta'wil, which can mean tahrif, meaning alteration, meaning distortion. It can mean distortion or alteration of something. Distortion and alteration, or twisting a meaning. Type. Now let's go back to Surah Al-Imran again. Like I said, we cover one recitation that stops at Lafz al-Jalala, where it says, He's the one that revealed to you the book. If you're looking in the Mus'haf right now, even in English, you can look at it in English. هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخرى متشابهات. فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله وما يعلم تأويله إلا الله. No one knows its ta'wil except Allah. Right, everyone? So I said a couple of minutes ago, stop right there, right? No one knows its ta'wil except Allah. So when you stop at that point in the ayat, that means, like we said, the true reality of certain matters that are mutashabih, meaning no one from the human beings knows what it is, the true reality of it, or the true nature of it. And those affairs are the affairs of the unseen. Keep in mind the words I'm about to say to everyone. It has nothing to do with Kitab and Sunnah or anything in the Book of Allah where our ayah is not clear. Understand, everyone? However, when you look to the affairs of the characteristics and the names and the attributes of Allah, they are muhkam as far as its meanings. Is it clear what I'm saying? When you hear that Allah is all-hearing, it's clear. That's all you need to know. Allah is all-hearing. So that means the effect it will have is that that you do what is correct. You'll do an upright act because you understand the meaning that Allah hears everything. Simple. That's it. No more, no less. When we say that the characteristics of Allah and His names and His attributes, they are considered muhkam as far as the meaning. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? When you hear that Allah is all-hearing, clear. Muhkam. Muhkam means clear. right? They're mutashabih from the aspect of what? Of the kayfiyah of how it is and the true reality of what it is. Is it clear what I'm saying? I'll say it again. Let's return back go back to what I said in regards to the true nature, true reality of something, true essence. I shouldn't say nature, but true essence of something. The true essence. Go back to that. So now, we said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His names, His attributes, His actions, His essence, all those affairs are considered mutashabih. Meaning, no one knows its true reality except Allah. As far as the kayfiyah, as far as how it is, and as far as what? As far as the true reality of it. No one knows it except Allah. As far as the names and the attributes and the characteristics, as far as the meanings, then they're considered muhkam. The meanings is muhkam. The sifat, the characteristics and the names of Allah and His actions. For example, when you hear the word Allah descends, clear. As soon as you hear it, what means He descend? Meaning He did a descension. When Allah ascended above the arsh, He ascended. So when you hear it, you understand the meaning. That's it. That's all we've been commanded. Allah only commanded us to understand the meanings, not to look for the true reality of it, and to look for what? How it is. Because it's way beyond our comprehension. Is it clear what I'm saying? So I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say this a third time. When as far as the names and the attributes and the actions of Allah, they are muhkam in the meanings. They are muhkam in the meanings. It's clear. I want everyone to realize that the most important affairs of our religion, Allah made them the most simplest for us to understand. And Allah did not burden us with the duty of knowing the true nature of these affairs. Or the true, when I say true nature, true reality of these affairs. Of how they are. What's a good example of that? A good example of that is in the Athar, as we know, of Malik ibn Anas, Imam al-Hijrah, Imam Malik. Where he said, when a person came, as we know, he said, Allah rose above the arsh, or Allah ascended above the arsh. How did Allah do that? Imam Malik became upset and he started to sweat profusely due to the severity and the high level of that question that he asked and the magnitude of how dangerous that question could be and how much fitna it can lead to. So he said, what did Imam Malik say? Imam Malik said this statement, the profound statement for the qa'idah, or the principle for Ahl Sunnah in regards to Allah's names, His attributes, His names, His attributes, and His actions. He said, the ascension of Allah is known. Meaning, what is Imam Malik when he said is known? Meaning the ascension, when you hear it, the meaning is muhkam, is clear. That's what Imam Malik is saying. When you hear the meaning ascension, the meaning is known. Meaning it's muhkam. How Allah ascended, what did He say? Not known. It's not known, the kayfiyah of how Allah did it. So that's mutashabih. Mutashabih, where Allah, no one knows it except Allah. Based upon the first recitation, because I didn't talk about the second recitation yet. How Allah did it is not known. Meaning, what does He mean by it? The true reality of it. How Allah did it, it's not known. Meaning that it's way beyond your comprehension. Way beyond your comprehension. a person would say, well, why is it that this affairs are what? Why is it that these affairs are not known to us? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only gave us a duty to know these attributes about Him and to work by its meanings. As soon as you hear it, you understand it. But Allah did not give us the duty to look for how these affairs are and what's the true reality of them. He did not burden us with that. And He did not give us a duty for that. Why? It's way beyond our comprehension. We mean it's way beyond our comprehension because I ask everyone, it's a simple question. Can you comprehend something that can hear everything in the heavens and the earth simultaneously? Can you comprehend it? No, you can't. Can you now fathom and comprehend something that can hear everything, see everything simultaneously? Can you comprehend it? That's why Imam Malik, what? He knew this. Meaning that Allah gave us the duty to know what's the meanings of these what? Attributes and these names. To work by them. As soon as we hear Allah's all-hearing, khalas, it's known. So that means we can work by it so that we fear Allah. We do certain things, we abstain from certain things, and we carry out certain things because we know that Allah sees us. So it can have an effect on our lives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of His infinite wisdom kept it there. Don't go beyond that. That's it. You know that Allah sees everything, hears everything, work by it, and fear Allah by it. Meaning, carry out your daily duties of fear of Him and abstain from His prohibitions because you understand the meaning of His attributes. Which is that He's all aware, He sees everything, He hears everything. And He's all aware of everything. Beyond that, Allah did not what? Burden us with that. He didn't burden us to now, what's the reality of it? How Allah did it? What was the way He did it in the manner He did it in? That is the aspect of what is mutashabih. Mutlaq. That's mutashabih, absolute what? Mutashabih. It's not known. Then Imam Malik said, how Allah ascended above the arsh is not known. Faith in it is obligatory, and to ask about it is what? Is innovation. So in regards to the affairs of what is mutashabih, and I'm going to read quickly what the great Imam, Al-Shaykh Al-Alama, Hamad Al-Ansari, rahimahullah, they call him Shaykh Al-Shuyukh, right? He's the Shaykh of all the Mashayikh, the Shaykh of all the ulama, Shaykh Hamad Al-Ansari, rahimahullah, who's the Shaykh of a lot of ulama that, he was a mountain. But anyway, Shaykh Hamad Al-Ansari said in the statement, I'll read this quickly just to give a little bit more enlightenment. He says, وَمِنْهُ قَوْلُهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ هَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَّا تَأْوِيلًا. He said, فَلَا يَعْلَمُ حَقِيقَةَ مَا يَكُونُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مِنْ حِسَابِ وَالْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. I'm sorry. Matter of fact, let me start with the second. He said, وَأَمَّا الْمَعْنَى الثَّانِي فهو تأويل بمعنى حقيقة الشيء وكيفيته معرفة كنه الشيء وهذا المعنى لا يعلمه إلا الله وهو المراد في قوله عز وجل الآية. فالتأويل على هالقراءة بمعنى حقيقة الشيء. So he said that the meaning of what we're talking about, because we've been speaking about ta'wil, meaning the true reality of something, right? He said that it means here ta'wil means the true reality of something and how it is, and the true essence of how it is. He said no one knows that except Allah, and that's what was intended in the ayah in Surah Al-Imran, ayah number 7. Upon the first recitation, he says, where you stop when you say Allah in the ayah. No one knows its ta'wil except Allah. That's one recitation. So he said that no one knows the true reality of what will take place, or what will be on the day of resurrection, of the reckoning, of the account, or the reckoning that the people will receive in paradise, in hell, in the bridge over hell, and the well of the Messenger of Allah and other than that, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. No one knows that except Allah. So that's what? Mutashabih. So those affairs are what? Mutashabih. So now, you'll find that the people from the different deviant sects of the Muslims, they'll come to you and say, they'll argue with you and say that all the sifat of Allah. Now this is what I'm going to teach everyone right now. They'll come to you to give you a trick question. They'll say to you, the names and the attributes of Allah are considered all mutashabih. They'll say it generally, just like that. Is that correct? No, it isn't. This is where you're going to now have to what? Dissect the answer. Because they'll come to you, this is the reason why, and this is why I'm showing everyone how. People these days, and I've heard Muslims say this out of their own mouths, say, oh, I go to such and such masjid, and I'm able to what? Decipher or distinguish the truth they say and the falsehood they say. Like, someone right now say to you, all the sifat and the names and the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all considered mutashabih. You right now, based upon the knowledge I've taught you, of course, you guys know the answer. But before I gave you a little bit of details, how would you answer it? Because this is a poison that will render your aqidah, your belief system, messed up. From the common folk that think they know everything, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds right. All the names and the attributes of Allah are mutashabih. That's the answer that's incorrect. Not mutashabih. They're muhkam because from the aspect of the meaning. It's clear. As soon as we hear the meaning, we say that the sifat and the asma of Allah are muhkam. They're muhkam, they're not mutashabih. They're muhkam in the meanings when we hear it. When we hear it, we understand its meanings. It's clear. The only thing is mutashabih is what? Is the kayfiyah, the true nature, and how it is. Because Allah did not burden us with that duty to know how His attributes are, how His actions are, the reality of Him. That's not what we've been given the duty for. We were only given the duty to what? Work by the names and attributes based upon what we understand of its meanings. So you have to dissect what they're saying. You saying what? No. The sifat and the names and the attributes of Allah are muhkam. When you say muhkam, meaning that the meanings are clear. The meanings are clear. That's what Allah has given us the duty to work by. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's like a weak yes. I want a strong yes. Are the sisters understanding me? I'm teaching you guys affairs of His foundation. These affairs are the most important affairs of what makes your genetics as a Salafi. As a true person of Islam. These are your genetics. If a person could come and alter your genetics, that's dangerous. Is it clear what I'm saying so far? So we say that the names and the attributes of Allah are muhkam. They're muhkam in its meanings. They're muhkam. They're not mutashabih. The only thing that's mutashabih is, like we said, is how they are. How they are and the true reality of they are, or the true essence and reality of they are. Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? No, the people of Ahlul Bid'ah, the people of innovation, from them is the Ash'ariyya al-Kullabiyya and the Maturidiyya. Those who are upon that way from the deviant sects are very prevalent, and they're the majority in the Muslim world who have this aqidah of Ash'ariyya and Ash'ariyya Kullabiyya and also Maturidiyya. They'll say, no, the names and the attributes of Allah are all mutashabih. They'll tell you a general, blanket statement just like that to you. And if you were sitting in their lessons in their messages and you listen to this nonsense, you would probably accept it based upon before what we just taught and gave of details. You would just probably say, yeah, that's true. You'll just, oh, yeah. All the names and attributes of Allah are mutashabih. That's wrong. They're not mutashabih. They're muhkam. muhkam in its meanings. It's clear. Is it clear what I'm saying so far, everyone? Now, look into the Mus'haf now. Look into the Mus'haf. Look into Surah Al Imran, ayah number 7. Look into it. Now there's a second recitation. There's a second recitation of this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, no one knows its ta'wil except Allah, and continue the recitation, and those who are well grounded in knowledge. So now the meaning of ta'wil changes here based upon the second recitation. No one knows its ta'wil except Allah, and continue. Don't stop. And those who are well grounded in knowledge, they say, Amanna bih, we all believed in it. No, we believe in it. All of it is from our Lord, and no one takes heed and remembrance except those who have sound understanding. طيب. Upon the second recitation, this means tafsir, explanation. Explanation of all the ayat and verses in the Quran. Keep in mind, everyone, and I'm going to read quickly what the great Imam says, Sheikh Hamad, and he made a tremendous statement here. He said, وَلَا يُمْكَنْ أَنْ يُوجَدْ. He said, first of all, he mentioned the deviant sects that we just mentioned. He said, you will find from this second recitation he said that there are deviant sects called the Ash'ariyah, the followers of Abul Hasan al-Ash'ari, which they're not truly his followers in reality. Abul Hasan al-Ash'ari, where in actuality they follow Ibn Kullab. I don't know, matter of fact, let me just name the dates, keep it general. Those from the deviant sects who are called Ash'ariyah, Kullabiyah, and Hanafiya, Maturidiyah. He said they call everything, there are verses in the book of Allah that are mutashabih. They say that the names, the attributes of Allah are mutashabih, right? And they'll also say there are meanings in the Quran and in the Sunnah that's also mutashabih. They're not meaning they're not clear. He said this statement is in the most utmost of what? Of evil and corruption. He said there's nothing in the Kitab and the Sunnah, nothing that exists in the Kitab and Sunnah, a word that the ulama do not know its meaning, or that the Arab do not know its meaning. He said, verily the only thing, this is very important, I want you guys to understand this. The only thing that's in the Quran, in the Sunnah, is called mutashabih nisbi. Mutashabih, relative mutashabih. If you want to, for lack of better words. Relative mutashabih. What's relative mutashabih? So now I'm giving you the meaning of the second meaning of what? Of the recitation of the ayah. Here. When you say, oh, though no one knows its ta'wil except Allah, and those who are well grounded in knowledge, the meaning of ta'wil here is what, everyone? Is tafsir. Knowing its meaning, explaining its meaning, commentating on its verses. There's nothing in Kitab, in Sunnah, where its meaning is absolutely mutashabih. Doesn't exist in Kitab and Sunnah. The only thing that exists in Kitab and Sunnah is what? That which is mutashabih, but it's relative. What do we mean relative? Meaning, what Allah says in this verse. If you go back and read in the Mus'haf again. Now read the verse. If you look in the Mus'haf. Now I'm gonna try to read it, and I want everyone to pay attention and think of its meaning. No one knows its ta'wil except Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. Meaning that no one knows the meaning of those verses, of how they are explained and how they're supposed to be interpreted, except Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. Meaning that Allah and the scholars, they all truly know the meaning and the commentary and the explanation of those verses. Whereas those who do not have knowledge do not know its meanings. It's that simple. Meaning those who are what? Those who are ignorant. For those who do not attain proper knowledge, they're not going to know the true meaning of those verses and the proper meaning of those verses. And the only ones who know it is Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. Meaning, relatively speaking, certain people has proper knowledge that knows the meaning of these verses and the interpretation of it and how they're supposed to be understood, who is Allah and the scholars and those who study. But relatively speaking, in regards to those who are ignorant, then they are not going to understand its verses and its meanings due to their lack of knowledge. So based upon the second recitation, ta'wil here means tafsir, commentary, explanation, and properly interpreting and understanding the verses. So just to sum up everything, based upon the first recitation of the ayah, that no one knows his ta'wil except Allah, and you stop. Where are you going, brother? Are you going somewhere? Oh, I thought he was going back to the sister side. No one knows his ta'wil except Allah, and you stop. What does that mean, everyone? Means true reality of something, true essence of something. That's based upon the first recitation of the ayah. What are we talking about here? We're talking about the true essence of the affairs of the unseen, which is the names, the attributes, and the actions of Allah, and paradise, and hellfire, and all of those affairs. They, of course, are what? Those affairs, like we said, are mutashabih. No one knows the true reality except Allah. And you stop. However, I made this clear. The names and the attributes and the actions, the Ahl al-Ilm from the past never said that they are considered for what is mutashabih, as far as in the meanings when you hear them. They say that the sifat and the names of Allah are muhkam. When we say muhkam, meaning when you hear the meanings of it, it's clear. That's it. No more, no less. Don't go beyond that. If you go beyond that, you're going to now expose yourself to confusing your mind and destroying your mind. You start to now try to figure out and fathom how Allah's names and His attributes are. How His names, how is Allah ascend? How Allah descend? How is His face? How is His hand? How is the fingers of Allah? How are these affairs? This is now when you're going to start into a realm where you're going to now destroy yourself. How Allah Ta'ala descends every night. How Allah ascends. How does Allah Ta'ala create create the heavens and the earth and everything was between them in 6 days, and then He ascended above the earth? How? How Allah's face is. How does Allah hear everything? How does Allah see everything? How does Allah have awareness of everything? How does Allah have knowledge of everything at the same time? How? When you start to enter these matters, you destroy yourself. So no one knows the ta'wil meaning here. That the first recitation was the meaning of ta'wil again, everyone. The true reality, the true nature of these matters. However, I want to stress this point, that none of the names and the attributes of Allah, you'll find the Salaf say that they are mutashabih as far as in the meanings. The meanings are clear. So you used to count the meanings of the names and the attributes of Allah from that which is muhkam. That's muhkam. Meaning, as soon as you say it, face of Allah, clear. Ascension of Allah, clear. Allah's descension, clear. Allah's ascension, clear. As soon as we hear the meaning. Now how it is, no, how it is, how we're trying to figure it out, yeah, akhi, leave that. Allah didn't give us that duty. No one knows the reality of that except Allah. Is it clear what I'm saying? That's based upon the first recitation. Based upon the second recitation, when you continue in the ayah in Surah Al-Imran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, no one knows his ta'wil except Allah and those who are well grounded in knowledge. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ. Those who are well grounded in knowledge. Now you continue the recitation here. What is the meaning of ta'wil now? What is the meaning of it? Tafsir, the explanation. What is the commentary? What is the proper meaning of the verses? What is the proper understanding of the verses? No one knows that except Allah, and who else? Those who are well grounded in knowledge. Meaning, this is what they call mutashabih nisbi, relative mutashabih. Meaning, in regards to certain individuals and certain people, it's not clear. Meaning, those who are ignorant, those who lack knowledge. Those who lack knowledge, certain meanings in Kitab and Sunnah are not going to be known to them because of their lack of knowledge. So relatively speaking, in regards to those group of people who are ignorant and lack knowledge, they are not going to know the meanings in certain verses and in Kitab and Sunnah due to their what? Ignorance. But those who are well grounded and well established in knowledge are going to know the meanings of the verses and how they're supposed to be interpreted and how they're supposed to be understood. So the second meaning or the second recitation, ta'wil here means what, everyone? Tafsir. So you can see how ta'wil can mean certain what? Different meanings based upon the context of how it's used. Do not be fooled when people say ta'wil. Ta'wil can mean a lot of different meanings. Number one, we just gave everyone. Number one, it can mean tafsir. Number two, it can mean what? It can mean true reality of something. Number three, it can also mean the final outcome of something. And number four, it can mean distortion. That's what they do. They'll try to deceive you by saying, no, we're making ta'wil, meaning we're explaining the ayah. No, you're making tahrif. You're distorting the meaning. That's the meaning of ta'wil that you're doing. But they'll try to play a game with you. They'll try to pull the wool over your eyes. No. We're making ta'wil, meaning tafsir. No, you're not. You're making ta'wil be meaning tahrif, distortion and alteration of the meaning, to seek fitna and to cause confusion. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Just go on to you there. Did he stop? It sounded like he stopped. Oh, sisters, I'm teaching you how I've heard and I've also have sisters who wear overhead abayas and properly cover, and their hearts are filled with deviance. Filled with deviance. The most dangerous of people these days is people who look exactly like Muslims and they're on something totally different to what is correct. They're the most dangerous. You'll find a person they cover just like you from head to toe. Then when they start opening their mouths and start saying certain statements, you'll be like, what are you doing? What are you practicing? So what we say, from those who are upon the devious sects, what they call Ash'ariyah and Kullabiyah and Hanafiyah and Maturidiyah. What I mean, those who claim to be Ash'ari these days, they're not practicing the methodology of Al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. They're practicing matter of fact, I don't want to talk about this right now. Let's get off the topic. Ash'ariyya kullabiyya. There's deviant sects. Just keep in mind, there's deviant sects out there called Ash'ariyya. People who's Ash'ari. Just keep it right there. Ash'ari, but in reality, Ahl Sunnah calls them kullabi. Don't ask. Just stay where we at. Also, you have a lot of Muslims out there in other countries. They're blind followers of Madhab al-Hanafi, the Hanafi Madhab. Usually in those cases, they have the Maturidiyya Aqidah. Usually, in most cases. Don't ask me. I'm just telling you generally. I'm telling you, when you see certain things, I'm giving you guys this information so when you see certain things, you understand why and why certain things are done and why they're doing it. But the refutation of it comes later. Don't worry. Like, for example, the majority of people, especially from Turkey these days, the Muslims, they're upon the Maturidiyya Aqidah. And they blindly followed they say they blindly found the madhab of Abu Hanifa. Even though they're not. Abu Hanifa, they say they claim they follow, and their aqidah, their belief system is what they call Maturidiyya. Just keep that in mind. طيب. They say two things based upon what I just explained to you guys. A lot of them say all the sifat of Allah. Now, I'm going to say this to you again, everyone. See if you can answer. All the names and characteristics of Allah are considered mutashabih. Is that statement correct or not? Wrong. Ahsant. So if someone says this to you, no. All the names and attributes of Allah are mutashabih. We say they're mutashabih as far as the kayfiyah. But as far as the meanings, it's known. And none of the salaf made the names and the attributes from the aspect of mutashabih. Rather, they made them muhkam. They made them muhkam because the meanings are clear. Because that's what Allah has given us a duty to worship Him by. To know the meanings of these attributes, so when we apply them in our daily lives, they have an effect on us. When we hear that Allah is all-seeing, we fear Him because we don't want to lie to people. We don't want to kill people. We don't want to wreak havoc. Why? Because we know the meaning of all-hearing is what, and all-seeing is what it says. It's clear. That's what Allah gave us as a duty, to work by these names and draw close and fear Him by these names. As soon as we hear all-seeing, that means that we're not going to hurt people. That means we're not going to try to be mischievous, cunning, and try to hurt people, and try to be deceitful, and try to be treacherous, because we know Allah all sees, because the meaning is clear. Right or wrong? Now, what I'm saying to everyone makes absolute sense, right or wrong? Makes absolute sense. That's all Allah gave us a burden of. Now, you come up with a blanket statement saying the names and the attributes are all unclear. So you'll find that Ahl Ilm, don't write this down, Ahl Ilm have refuted this nonsense by saying that means that the Messenger of Allah, when he made certain supplications, that means he was teaching us names that were absolutely unclear in all cases, to the point where even the meanings were unclear. So why would the Messenger of Allah now teach us certain affairs, certain supplications, that when we read them, even the meaning doesn't have any meaning to it? When you hear Allah's all hearing, all seeing, all knowledgeable, or the one who's all wise, they don't have no meaning to it. It's all unclear. Does that make any sense? Sister, do you understand my question? When you read certain du'as right now, the originator of the heavens and the earth, the knower of the all knowledgeable of the unseen, of what is known and unseen. So based upon these people who are deviants from the Asha'ira and from the Maturidiyya and all these other deviant sects, they're based upon their understanding is when you read these supplications, they have no meaning to them. Those names are not supposed to have any meaning to you. They're all mutashabih. Even the meaning of it is mutashabih. Does that make any sense to anyone? Exactly. So the meanings are not muhkam. They're saying it's all mutashabih. So now you mean to tell me that when I read Allah's all-hearing, all-seeing, that means it has no meaning to it. So when I read it in the salat, it's just a word that just there. You understand what I'm saying, everyone? It's just there in the Quran. It's not supposed to have any effect on me in my life. Well, what is the meaning of all-seeing as soon as you hear it? So you mean to tell me Allah put stuff in the ayat in the book of Allah? See, when you hear this nonsense, it's like this stuff is confusing. When the people of Al-Bid'ah come with speech, that's confusing. So you mean to tell me that Allah put names in the Quran that we're supposed to draw close and rectify affairs of Iman and rectify our souls with words that Allah just put in the Quran that really has no meanings to it? Does that make any sense? Does it make any sense? So that's basically what they're saying to you. It's all mutashabih. The meanings, the kayfiyah, the meaning of it, all of it. Does it make any sense, anyone? Make no sense. But that's what their belief system entails. Is it clear so far what I'm saying? Right. Now also what they mention and what they say is, these people, Asha'ira with the Kullabiyya and also the Maturidiyya and other than them, another statement they say is, they'll say there are meanings in the Quran, likewise there are also mutashabih, meaning the verses in the Quran, the interpretations of it, certain verses are also likewise mutashabih, meaning that there are meanings in Quran and Sunnah that no one knows its meanings except Allah, meaning no one knows the interpretation of it except Allah. Meaning there's meanings in the Quran and Sunnah that the interpretation of those verses, none of it can be explained. So that means there are verses in the Quran, some were verses, and there's certain things in Kitab and in Sunnah that no one knows its meanings. No one knows the interpretation. No one knows its commentary. No one knows how it's supposed to be interpreted. No one knows how it's supposed to be understood. That notion, brothers and sisters, is incorrect and it's false and it's batil. It's false. There's nothing in Kitab and Sunnah of any verse where its meaning is not known. That's based upon the second recitation of the ayah. As we said, the second recitation means what? Tafsir. They say no. There are certain ayat, there are certain verses that no one knows its tafsir except Allah. That's also incorrect. There's nothing in Kitab and Sunnah where its meanings are not known to us. We do not say that. Everything in Kitab and Sunnah has a meaning to it. If you was to ask right now, some of Ahl Ilm, if you was to ask right now, is there any verse in the book of Allah that its meaning is not known? That if you was to read the verse that no one knows its meaning, we say no. That's not from the Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah. I'll explain a little bit more details later. The last thing right now, and I'm going to end it off right here. Go back to the fourth meaning. The fourth meaning means distortion, right, everyone? Distortion or alteration. What is the meaning of that? The meaning of distortion is to remove a word from its apparent meaning to another meaning that's weak. To another meaning that's weak. Or baseless, if you want to say, just say baseless. Due to a false claim, that prevents the meaning of what is intended. That prevents the meaning of what's intended. Meaning of what the people of tahrif, what do they do? No, the face of Allah doesn't mean face. It means His what? His mercy. Where do you get that from? That's what my mind says. But that's not what's intended. They'll say, no, the hands of Allah doesn't mean His hands. It means what? His power. That the shin of Allah doesn't mean His shin. It means His his light, or something like that, what they'll say. So they'll say, no, Allah doesn't descend, it is mercy that descends. That's what you call tahrif. That's what they say what ta'wil is. They'll say ta'wil means this, which in actuality means what? Tahrif. Tahrif. So right now I'm going to ask everyone a question. Is anything Kitab and Sunnah, any verse in the Book of Allah, or anything in the Kitab and Sunnah, its meanings are not known to us? J, good answer. When we say that, like we said, those who do not have the proper understanding of those verses is due to lack of knowledge, of course, or due to them being misguided by someone teaching them improperly. That's the reason why people attain either the wrong interpretation of the verses or lacking knowledge in those verses. Either one of the two things, either goes back to the person due to the fact of their lack of knowledge. According to their circumstance, they might have just became Muslim or what have you. Or they might just be on the street wasting their time or doing something they shouldn't be doing, whatever circumstance it is. But at the end of the day, they still lack knowledge. That's the reality. Some is due to, that's not their fault, of course, and some of it is. But at the end of the day, the reality is that if that's the case, do not seek fitna. Just say, I don't know. I just became Muslim the other day. I don't know. Or if you're on the street and I do what you're supposed to, I say, I don't know. I never took time to study that. So for that reason, you would say, in regards to those people, the interpretation of those verses is not known to them due to their what? Lack of knowledge or whatever circumstance that they under that caused them not to have the proper knowledge in regards to that verse. It's that simple. No more, no less. Problem with people is these days, everybody are know-it-alls and everybody wants to think they know. And then they want to try to play mind games like you're the one that's ignorant and they're the ones that truly know. That's the problem. Instead of just being humble and saying, listen, I don't know. I never took time out to study it. Can you tell me, enlighten me? That's the issue. People these days, like we said, they know-it-alls and they want to act ignorant towards you without now inquiring to say, listen, I don't understand fully. Can you enlighten me? Can you teach me? That's the issue with a lot of people these days, especially in affairs to what's going on in da'wah now, especially in da'wah, especially with certain things that's going on. Instead of having humbleness, you can have humbleness and patience. You can have patience with an individual that comes to you like this. Listen, I don't know. Can you clarify it to me so I can know truly what's going on? No, initially they'll come to you like this. Well, Sheikh Rabi' don't know everything. It's like, as soon as you come off like that, khalas, Sheikh, you took your position. Seems like to me you already got your mind made up. So what you coming to me for? What you coming to me for? Your mind's made up. It seems like, so what you coming to me for? So that based upon that, when I'm looking at when a person comes to me in that manner, that means to me, I'm not going to engage inside of what? I'm not going to now indulge in trying to advise you. Why? Because your mind is already made up. No matter what I say to you, you already got your own opinion already. Or your own position. Khalas, what's you wasting my time for now? Now, if a person came to you in this manner and said, listen, AbdurRazzaaq, I don't understand. Can you clarify to me what's going on? And clarify it so I can know exactly, so I can understand, attain some type of understanding. That person you can be patient with. And you can try to sit them down and teach them and point them out this and that, and have a little bit of patience with them. But when a person comes to you in an ignorant manner, and they're showing that they think they already know it all, those type of people you don't even want to waste your time with because you already got your mind made up. So now I'm going to now try to enlighten you. You already disrespected the person. You already disrespected me. You disrespected other students of knowledge. You disrespected them already. You said statements that now necessitates that you already made up your mind. You already summed up your own opinion before you even came to me. So if that's the case, all right, what do you want me to do? So now you just want to go back and forth with me, arguing with me? I'm not doing that. Since you already got your mind made up, khalas, to you be your way, to me be mine. I'm not going to waste my time with somebody that already got their opinion made up. I'm not doing that. That's the problem with people these days. Everyone's a know-it-all. We live in a country where that's our way. Everybody's opinionated, and everybody's already got their mind made up. And that's a sickness, and that's dangerous to have that type of way of thinking. Very dangerous. That will make you fall to a lot of turmoil. That's even with our marriages and our families. Everybody's opinionated. Everybody already got their mind made up. Everybody already got their one way of how it's supposed to be. And that's the reason why a lot of our marriages fail, and even how we fail, and as far as being firm upon uprightness in the Aqidah to Salafiyya. It affects everything, not only in your belief system, but even in on a social level, with your families, your family levels of social matters, of domestic matters in the household, everything. When everybody's got their own opinion, their own mind made up, and when their own way of how they perceive it, how it's supposed to be, that's when a whole bunch of problems occur. When you're not able to sit the person down and try to now talk and discuss with them maturely without always cutting them off in the middle of what they're saying and just letting them say what they have to say, that's when things can be resolved. But when people now, like I said, the majority here, especially in America and all over the dunya now, everybody has their own way in their mind how it's supposed to be. It's either my way or the highway at the end of the day. Okay, my way or the highway, that's the reason why we got all these social problems. That's the reason why we got all these divorces. That's the reason why we got all these families that are broken. And that's the reason why we got all these children that's messed up. That's because we all think we know it all. We got it all summed up. And we got it all right. We got it all laid out already. You get what I'm saying, everyone? Any questions about the lesson so we can pray? I got to make wudu too. Anybody have any questions about the lesson? Tafadhal. I'm sorry, sister, I couldn't hear. I'm sorry. I meant to say, there's two groups. You have the Ash'ariyah. Ash'ariyah is the majority of the Muslim world have the Aqidah Ash'ariyah. Just keep it like that. I don't want to confuse everyone at Kullabiyah. I'll explain that later. Ash'ariyah. The majority of a lot of the Muslim world have the Aqidah of Ash'ariyah. The Ash'ari. Or you'll find that a lot of Muslim world that they have the Aqidah, what they call Aqidah Maturidiyah. 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 Just keep it there. Maturidiyah. Maturidiyah and Ash'ariyah are all close. They're not too far from each other. They are very similar in a lot of their belief system, even though there's certain aspects that are real simple that make them a little bit different. But in all, you'll find the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad Jami said that al-Maturidiyya shaqiqat al-Asha'ira, that they're like the blood brother or the shaqiq al-Asha'ira. The Maturidiyya is like the blood brother of the Asha'ira, meaning that's how close their belief system is. But they're slightly different in certain aspects. But they're very close in their belief system. And the majority of the Muslim world are upon that way. The majority of the Muslim world have that type of aqidah. From the Sufis, you'll find that a lot of the Sufis have the aqidah of Ash'ariyah. A lot of them. And you'll find that those in the Muslim world who have the aqidah of the Maturidiyya, they're upon the blind following of the Madhab al-Hanafi. Especially those from the people in Turkey, in that region. You'll find them praying with their hands to the side, and they're standing up praying to their hands to the side and all these other things. You'll find that the majority of them, that they have the aqidah of the Maturidiyya. The Maturidiyya. So like I told you, they're very close in their belief system, but they're slightly different. But all of them are all from those who so-called give precedence to the mind and intellect over Kitab and Sunnah. You'll find that all of them, how they glorify the mind. That doesn't agree with the mind. That doesn't agree with the mind. That doesn't agree with the mind. That's the reason why we twist the meaning. How can you say Allah has a face? That doesn't make any sense. Allah can't have a face. Why? Look at your face. How can Allah's face be like my face? We're not saying that. Allah's hand, how can it be a hand? This is a hand. They can't fathom, put over their mind that what Allah said takes precedence over what their intellect says. They can't get past it. That's the sickness. You get what I'm saying, everyone? You'll find that a lot of Muslims are plagued with that sickness, especially those who sat at the hands of deviants. Those who sit at the hands of deviants, once they set the poison in, it's hard to remove it. It is very, very hard. You'll tell them, listen, Allah has said this about himself and he's most knowledgeable about himself. That takes precedence over our opinions and our intellects. Then in which we get inside, like I said, inside of more details in this regard, we'll start to expose how they contradict themselves. How the reason of why they fell into this deviance is because they fell into what they're trying to flee away from. It don't make sense, do it? Doesn't make, but when I break it down, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What you try to flee away from, you fell into it, that's why you fell into this type of deviance. I'll give you one example, we'll stop. For example, they try to flee away from tashbih, what they call resemblance of Allah to the creation. They say we don't make tashbih, we make tanzih, nunazzihu Allah, an mushabahatil khalq, right? That we want to glorify Allah. So that means we say that Allah doesn't resemble the creation. طيب. So you say to them, so you saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't have, or he's not above the arsh, some of them believe. They'll say that Allah is not above at all. They'll tell you frankly, right? And they'll also try to distort the meaning of speech, and they'll also try to say other things. Right. So now, they'll say to you, we have to flee away from resemblance of Allah resembling the creation. Right? Right. So what was the ultimate result? The ultimate result is that we negate either Allah, we take the attribute and we negate it. Allah doesn't have a face, and we put in its place another meaning. To say that Allah, he doesn't have a face, but however what it means is his power or domination, for example. طيب. So now, you just said out of your mouth you're trying to flee away from resemblance. That's what you just said to me. Yes, we're trying to flee away from resemblance. طيب. So what you did, as far as falling to this type of deviance, what you tried to flee away from, you fell into it. That's the reason why you negated it. How? Because when you went to the verse, so first keep in mind, you're trying to flee away from resemblance of Allah to creation. That's your so-called claim you're trying to hold on to, right? Yes, of course. Okay. What was the reason why you negated the characteristic of face of Allah? Why? Because you did what? Because I just can't get past the fact that Allah's face is like this face. So what you tried to flee away from, you what? You fell into it. That's why you negated it. What you tried to flee away from, you fell into it. That's why you what? You negated it and distorted its meaning. So what they so-called claim is we're trying to get away from resemblance, get away from it. But the reason why you negated it and twisted it and altered its meaning is because you fell into it. You fell into resemblance, that's why you negated it. And that's why you distorted its meaning. Is it kind of clear what I'm saying to everyone? This somewhat? Is the paint drying somewhat? I'll say it one more time. You'll come to them to say, for example, they'll get to a verse, the face of Allah. Alhamdulillah wa Ahlul Sunnah is clear. If we see face of Allah, the meaning is clear. Khalas, that's enough for us. We don't have to go beyond the bounds and exceed the bounds of how it is, or must look like the bodies of a human being. We don't get into all that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has negated that. His attributes does not resemble the creation, of course, as we know. طيب. So now they come to these verses that say face of Allah. So you believe Allah has a face? Yes, of course. The meaning is known. Meaning. How is it? Allahu A'lam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't burden us with that. طيب. Well, my mind, my intellect, can't fathom the face of Allah. Because what comes to my mind is a human face. So as a result of I cannot get over this hump of human face, I'm going to distort its meaning. and I'm gonna negate the word face, and I'm gonna put another meaning in its place. So you'll ask them, what's the reason why you negated the meaning of face and twisted it and altered it? Because you fell into what? Resemblance. So what you're trying to flee away from, you fell into it. That's why you negated it, and that's why you altered its meaning. So what they're fleeing away from, they what? You fell into it. Because if you didn't resemble, you would have never negated, and you would never alter the meaning. You understand, everyone? That's the reason why we tell brothers and sisters, stick to the people who Salafi, who know what they're doing. We know, by the fadl of Allah, the students of knowledge, we know these affairs. Stay away from certain masjids, because we know that they're going to mess up your aqidah. You're going to sit in the class, and they're going to fill your heart up with a bunch of shubahat, and you don't realize it. And I've seen this happen to a couple of people I knew from back from the 90s. We told certain brothers, don't go to 45th Street. They're in West Philly, who the Ahbaj. Don't. Stay away from the masjid. Don't go. They say, yeah. Of course, you know, our people that know-it-alls again. Know-it-alls. I ain't got to listen to y'all people. I ain't got to listen to y'all students of knowledge. Man, I got just as much knowledge as y'all, and y'all ain't nobody. Y'all think y'all better than everybody. Okay, you go down to that attitude, fine. Go ahead. Right? So you went down there, right? You went down there. I think he spent about 6 months with them. Yeah, I could distort between what they say is wrong and right. I said, you definitely can? You sure? You can? Okay. 6, 7 months. Came back. He left. One day I seen him. Somebody then he says, oh yeah, Shaykh al-Islam. Oh yeah, he's a kafir. I said, wow, look at you now. Wow. Yeah, Shaykh al-Islam is a kafir. Yeah, Muhammad Abdul Wahab is a kafir too. I said, wow, look at you. They wrecked you. Twisted you. Look at you. Listen to the nonsense you're saying out your mouth. He said, oh yeah, the names of Allah are mutashabih, and we make tafweed. We just say that the meanings are, and we take the meanings, the names, the attributes, and everything, and we ascribe them to Allah. So the meanings, the names, everything. Mutashabih, we refer to Allah. I said, look at you, huh? Listen to the poison and the satanic nonsense that's coming out of your mouth right now. After I told you to stay away from them. Now your aqeedah is messed up. And you're messed up in your mind now. Listen to all the filth you got in your heart and your belief system now. Because number one, because I just said at the end of the lecture, what was the reason why he went down there in the first place? Because I'm a know-it-all. I know everything. I know it all. I'm opinionated. I got my own opinion. So Shaitan inspired you to be Mr. Know-it-all. You went down to the masjid, and now you are where you are now. I ain't got to be listening to those students of knowledge who study with the ulama. I already know that all. I read some books in the house. I know what I'm doing. They don't know nothing. Okay. Go down there then. Even though I don't encourage you to go down there, but you're going to do it anyway. Because I warned you, don't go down there. But you're going to do it anyway. Because you're trying to prove a point because you missed the know-it-all. At the end of the day, you're not going to harm me. You're harming your own soul and your own belief system that you, on the day of resurrection, got to meet Allah with those shubahati are, which is the most dangerous of affairs because that's even worse than sins, to become on the day of resurrection with a polluted belief system. It's dangerous than sin. And you're going to meet Allah with that. So you basically took a risk on the most vital, most precious belief system. You took a risk. Look what happened. A Muslim that's smart would never risk that the most precious thing that they carry in themselves, which is their aqeedah, will put it and subject it to some type of deviance. Because they know that is the most ultimate and the most sacred of affairs that Allah is going to examine on the day of resurrection. He's going to check everyone's belief system to see if it's intact first. Then after that, held being responsible and the hisab and the reckoning account for the bad and the good will come after that. Because there's no way that good deeds or bad deeds and all those could be reckoned, put into a proper place as far as being examined unless the belief system is intact first, which is the origin and the foundation. Once that's checked, that has to be checked first. Because at the end of the day, a kafir does good all his life, must a lot of them. Some do good and bad, it's mixed. But the reason why they're going to be in hell for eternally is because they what? Belief system's messed up. The foundation's done. So what they did of good and evil at the end of the day is what? Has no value to it. Same thing with the Muslims. You're going to meet Allah with some shubahat now, that he has no face. It means his power. You're going to meet Allah with their aqidah? Okay. Now we also know we're going to get into another affair. Prophet ﷺ talked about those 73 sects of his ummah that are all going to enter hell except one. Except one. Those who what? Had the proper aqidah, proper belief system. But other than that, Prophet ﷺ made it clear of those who did not leave the fold of Islam from the deviant sects of the Muslims, they're still going to be what? They're still going to enter the hellfire. Are they going to be in there eternally? We say no. If their bid'ah or their corruption or their type of discrepancy in their belief did not remove them from the fold of Islam, or they did not leave out the fold of Islam. But if they did, that's something different. But if those deviant sects from the Muslims that die upon that, they will have to be purified of those deviant types of ideologies and beliefs, such as not believing Allah is above, or that Allah doesn't have a hand, rather it means his power, or it means that Allah doesn't descend, rather it's his mercy descends, all this other nonsense and filth that these people believe. That though if you die upon in that state, that you could be from those who were into the hellfire from the Muslims that had to be purified of those wicked beliefs. Because bid'ah is a type of fisk. If you die in that state, it subjects you to the hellfire. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Will they be in hell eternally? We say no, but they will have to be purified. That's why we said bid'ah. And why you see the Salafis, why we warn against certain people, because your survival of how you're going to be in this world, and your uprightness in this world, and in the hereafter, your survival in the hereafter, relies on you preserving your belief system. Is it clear what I'm saying, sisters? Jay, we'll stop here and pray. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.